Hey everybody out in YouTube land, my name is Mike and I love guitars. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my 1979 Les Paul Standard. Now this is the first real guitar I ever bought, and for almost 30 years it's been my number one for stage and studio play. Of all of the dozens of guitars I've owned in my life, this one is by far my favorite. It plays like a dream and it sounds even better. Let's do this. Ever since I was in my early teens and I first started taking an interest in playing guitar, I knew I wanted a Les Paul. All of my favorite players that I saw in magazines and on TV all played Les Pauls. When Ozzy Osbourne's No Rest for the Wicked was released and I saw Zakk Wylde's Les Paul Custom with the bullseye paint job for the first time, it was all over. I knew if I was ever going to be a real guitar player, I had to have a Les Paul. As I said in my previous video, the very first guitar I ever bought was an Ibanez Les Paul custom copy, but that was really only a first step in the journey for me. In my senior year of high school, I was hanging out almost daily at the practice room of the awesome local Southeast Texas band Podunk. Their guitar player and all-around good guy, Brian Jones, had two of the most amazing guitars I'd ever seen. He had a 1979 and a 1980 Les Paul Standard, both with the rare natural finish. As I got closer to high school graduation, I heard he was looking to sell the 79 since he favored the 80. He was asking $700 for it, which was a really good deal for a Les Paul Standard back in 1994. I didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't have any easy way to come up with the money, so I began to hatch a plan. I knew that my large extended family usually threw a party for graduating high school seniors and gave them a stack of cash to go to college. Now, I didn't have any interest in going to college, but I had a lot of interest in getting my hands on $700. I managed to graduate, barely, but I did, and then I took every penny my family gave me for college and I bought my dream guitar. I've never regretted that decision for a minute. Now, when I first bought this guitar, the bridge pickup had already been replaced, but otherwise it was completely stock. Over the years, I've made a number of other mods and changes to it. I've never been concerned about resale value because I am never going to sell this guitar. The bridge pickup is a DiMarzio X2N, which is an awesome high output, low noise pickup. I have since put it in several other guitars after falling in love with it in this one. The first change I made myself was to ditch both the pickguard and the poker chip. Next up was to replace these stock Kluson tuners with Grovers in an attempt to address Gibson's well-documented tuning stability issues. After that was the scariest change of all, removing the finish from the back of the neck. Over time, old nitro finishes can get really sticky, whereas an unfinished neck feels buttery smooth by comparison. After that, eventually, I replaced the stock neck pickup with a matching DiMarzio D-Activator X pickup. The entire wiring was then replaced and updated, along with the addition of a ground wire running from the control cavity to the stop bar tailpiece. That ground wire is a standard feature these days, but it didn't exist back in 1979. The pickup covers were a big part of grounding back in those days, and having uncovered pickups caused a lot of hum when playing through high gain amps that I didn't like. Now, since I liked the double cream look, I didn't want to add pickup covers, so a small hole for the ground wire was the solution. I definitely did not have the stomach to do this work myself, so I brought it back to the guy that I bought it from all those years ago. He's now a professional guitar tech by trade, so he handled it all with no problem. Cosmetically, my guitar is obviously in player-grade condition. Being so heavily used for so long, it has a number of battle scars, but each one of those scars were well-earned, and now they're just a part of my guitar's story. The top has various nicks and dings. The back has holes completely worn through the finish from belt buckles and old straps. Honestly though, to me, that wear, those imperfections, they really just add to the character of this guitar. I know where every single nick and ding in this guitar came from, and they all remind me of the fun times I had in the practice room and on stage. Now, if you've managed to stick with the video for this long, right about now you're probably screaming at your monitor saying something along the lines of, "No one cares how cool you think your guitar is, man. We came here to hear how it sounds." Well, without further ado, let's plug it in and play. A few final thoughts about this guitar. For those who aren't familiar, the Gibson guitars released through the 70s and into the early 80s are known as the Norlin era guitars. Norlin is the name of the parent company of Gibson at the time, and they released a lot of interesting variations on their guitars in that period. For example, my guitar, like a lot of others, has a 3-piece maple top as opposed to the far more common 2-piece maple tops that came before and after the Norlin era. Also, necks are 3-piece maple necks as opposed to the 1-piece mahogany necks that came before and after that period. Headstocks are a little wider, and the horn on the bottom cutaway is even a little pointier on the guitars coming out of the Nashville factory at the time. A lot of people turn their noses up at Norlin Gibsons because they deviated from how Gibsons were made in the 50s and 60s. Me personally, I love Norlins. I love how they routinely threw convention straight out the window. You will find some truly unique guitars from that era. Trogley has regularly featured many of these amazing guitars on his show, so if you haven't checked out any of his videos, I highly recommend his channel. Since a Norlin era Les Paul was the first one I ever owned, guitars from that period will always have a special place in my heart. This guitar in particular, I don't know if it's the pickups, the 3-piece maple neck, the 3-piece top, or some or all of those parts combined. It just has an intangible something for me that no other guitar before or since has quite lived up to. It's simply special. Dare I say magical, and that's really all I can say about it. If you haven't found your magical guitar yet, keep looking. It's out there. I got extremely lucky to find mine at 18 years old. So if you're still looking, don't be discouraged. Keep looking. One day you will find it. If you have already found your magical guitar, let's talk about it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Well, another video done. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please click the like button below. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, and if you have anything to share, please leave a comment below.